Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our day 14. We are transitioning from machine learning to web development. And now there are only two concepts that are remaining. I didn't get feedback. I'm not sure whether you're listening to me or you're also able to view my screen. It's important when you
can see.
react. Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
Good
Okay,
morning.
perfect. Are you able to see my screen?
Good morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you should be excited. Yes, it's still morning hours, and yeah, let's have that energy. So today we're going to focus on web development. I actually went through a lot to understand this latest operating system, Ubuntu 24.04, because sometimes they change a lot with GNOME configurations. So I finally managed to integrate everything that I needed on my VS Code. So I'm really happy. I hope those of you who have been using it should be able to reach where we are. So today we are going to dive more into web development. And it's one of the areas that I realize is very important as we are learning Python. You need to know what you can do with Python. So Python can allow you to develop website using Django and Flask. So today we will only focus on Django. On Wednesday, we'll focus on Flask. And then on Friday, we'll be able to do web scraping and REST APIs. And once we're done with that, you'll get your project on Friday and get started. I believe I have done my part. My colleague has also done his part, and you guys should be good to go. I know we have not dived deep into machine learning because we didn't look at unsupervised learning, but next week, when we are meeting physically on campus, I'll try to guide you more. And please go and watch lecture 13 that I uploaded and try to listen to Elsa Nancha. She made a nice presentation, especially on future engineering. Yeah, you could borrow our idea, but of course, there are several ways how to do it. But I like the fact that she expressed, I listened to it later, and it's a good one. Yeah, go listen to her, go watch that, or meet her in person if you can. If you can meet her in person, then go ahead and make sure that you follow that part of future engineering. Then on your own, try to learn a little bit of unsupervised learning, because I think the project mostly are going to be in unsupervised learning. And you're going to ask me, why do you teach us supervised learning? Then you give us tasks in unsupervised learning, which we didn't study. You have 2 weeks. So that's just to add on your knowledge. In life, they can't teach you everything. The period you have is very small, but at least I'm confident that I have laid a good foundation, and my colleague has also tried to put everything in place for you. Okay, so today we are only focusing on people who want to beat deadlines. How many people want to do projects and they want to deliver it on time and they don't know the right tool to use? Please go back to your WhatsApp group, tell members to join. You're only 21. This is embarrassing, especially when I'm introducing something that you will need for your project. Inform your colleagues to join. You can see the number of participants. That's why when I tell I like punishing people, you will blame me. You can see the number of participants. So please try to inform your colleagues Tell them the lecture is on. Okay, that's not the main focus now. So when you want to build web applications, I'm not talking about websites. I'm talking about web application. The application can be a website, can be an app that does some program. But if you want to build any web-based application that you can access it via the browser, Django, React, Flask are good choices. The only problem with Flask is that the community is small, but it's a good platform. But Django, at least the community is growing compared to Flask. And of course, even React, the community is still growing. So a lot of people, even you're quite familiar with Laravel. Laravel is basically a framework. The same applies to Django, is also a framework. Flask is also a framework. But the beauty with Django is that it's a website for perfectionists. People want to meet deadlines. You both want a project in 1 month or 2 months. You just jump into Django. Within no minutes, you have an application up and running. And that's the beauty with Django. First of all, Django makes it easier to build better web application more quickly. Let's go to Django website. Probably it's actually ridiculously fast because Django is a high level Python web development framework that encourages rapid developers or rapid development of any code with all the experience you have as a programmer. It makes it much easier to hassle-free and focus on writing your apps without the need to reinvent the wheel. So it's actually open source and it's free, but it has amazing advantages in terms of how fast it is. It's very secure. So let's jump to Django website and see what Django has to offer in terms of. So this is the official Django website, which is djangoproject.com. So this is the website that can give you all the steps. So you could see briefly, Django makes it easier to build better web apps more quickly with less code. Imagine even with less code. So we're going to see how we are going to get started. The installation steps are here. How to install, just in case you have errors. Security, you are assured, and it is having exceeding scalability. That means some of the busiest sites on website are built on Django and quickly. And of course, it also uses what we call HTTP response. It doesn't take you to loading. It just requests for that particular file and display it on the web browser. So that's why Django is a good choice for any web developer. So we're going to get started with Django, especially how to set it up on your computer. Most of you, I don't know, people have different operating systems that you're using. You're using Mac, some of you are using Windows, but for those who are using Linux or Ubuntu, I got you covered because that's what I'm going to use. And of course, one thing I have to tell you is that make sure you learn the steps and make sure you're able to set up Django on your computer. There are these things that I'm going to talk about, like templates, but please focus so much on understanding, at least learn how to set it up on your computer. So if we don't have any, do you have any question? Are you excited? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So let's get started. Now that we are getting started with Django, I want you to learn one thing. These are some of the ways or steps that I've been trying to go through to make sure that I set up Django. And one of the things that I made it very clear is to create a working directory where I can build my application. So I've already created a folder. All you need to do, just create a folder on your desktop. Make sure you have VS Code and open your terminal and try to follow alongside. If you have any question, you should be able to ask me. Now, these are the basic setup of a Django project. Now, what you're going to do, I'm first going to show you that I just created a folder, Learn Django. And of course, after creating the folder, Learn Django, I have been able to CD in this directory, okay? In fact, when I CD, I can show you that you could first CD to desktop. Oh, sorry. So when you CD to desktop and you ls, you should be able to be in the directory. It shows me the files that I have on the desktop. Now, let's say I want to create an app directly on my desktop. I thought it better if I create that file, if I create that file in the directory, learn Django. So I can see CD to, I can see CD to learn, learn Django. Now when I ls, there's nothing inside that folder. Now, what is interesting is that once you are in this directory, okay, the first thing that you need to do is to create a virtual environment. And then after creating a virtual environment, you need to activate. So step one is basically to create a folder. And then step two is basically to create a virtual environment. So there's something that I want you to know is that whenever you want to create a virtual environment, I normally like using, I'm just creating a virtual environment directly into the Learn Django, okay? Or alternatively, I could just CD to desktop. Then I make a directory. Let me make a directory. I can make directory and I can call this directory, which is going to be my project directory, which I'm going to call it, since I have, I'm working on the app called Rico AI, I can make that directory. Then when I ls, I should be able to see that folder here, Rico AI. Now what I can do, I can cd into Rico. As long as you type and you're in that directory, you press tab, you should be able to go there. Okay, so that is another way. I've just created the project directory. If you not familiar with writing the script, you could just go straight to create a folder on the desktop, then go to workspace, open desktop, then you look for that folder and then open it. And then open the terminal. So in that way, you will be in that directory here. Okay, that's what you have to do. Then the next thing that you need to do is to create a virtual environment. So in Linux, it's different from someone who is using Windows. For Windows, I told you clearly, I'm not a Windows user. So I may not be very competent in setting up in Windows because it's not the operating system I'm used to. But if I get time, I can be competent in setting it up. But for those of you who are experts in Windows, you show us how to set it up. But now what you do, you need to create a virtual environment. So you need to write a simple line of code, which is say virtual and env, which is for virtual environment, and then venv for virtual venv, and then you press enter. Now, what you would see is that it will create another folder inside that folder that contains the virtual environment. Okay? So that is the first step that I need you to do. So once you create that, the next step is for you to activate the virtual environment. So I'll do those two steps. You could take note of this command. You could pick this command, those ones who are using Windows. You could, no, Linux, you could take this command and write it somewhere in your notepad. Okay? Or in your subline text so that you follow it. Then, after that, you can now activate the virtual environment. So, to activate this virtual environment, before we go to activating the virtual environment, can I give you an opportunity to share your screen so that I see that you have created a virtual environment in that folder, so that I don't move faster? Let's do the first up to 10 for us to see if you are following. Then from 10, we can proceed. I don't want to move a little bit too fast because most of you people are going to, actually this is the best place where you can get gigs. So let me stop sharing and allow, if there's anyone who has succeeded, please share your screen and we see. Yeah. Okay, for Windows, yeah, for Windows, I can see Windows, Python, M, virtual. That's okay. That's the only difference is I'm not a Windows user. That's the only difference. Guys, can you share your screen so that I see that you are following me? Just like one or two people to show me that they have created. Because if you're going to listen to me, watch me like you're watching TV. That's very dangerous. Okay. Yes, if writer. So yeah, that's well done. That's on Windows, right? Yeah, Windows. I see the slash is a backward slash. Okay, thank you. Let's have another person. Let's have one person maybe in Linux. That's still Windows. Thank you, Shadia. Let's have one more person in. Are you a Linux guy? Okay. Thank you. Let's say, please make sure. Make sure you set up a virtual environment. You need to follow along. Remember, when we are doing machine learning, I had not set up my computer. So I didn't show you the setup process, but in Django, it is very, very important so that we follow along the steps. Well, we have a win. Oh, that's a Linux user. Okay, perfect. Arinda Asimwe. I see you. Okay, now let me share my screen. So I have confirmed that most of you were able to set up virtual environment. Now, the next step that we need to do is to activate, okay? Is to activate our virtual environment. So how do we activate? In Linux, you will just, in Windows, you will need to use the Google search and figure out. So you do source, and then you do venv, which is for virtual environment, then bin activate. Okay, then you press enter. Now, when you activate the virtual environment, you see the first line of your script where you've written source activate. Now here you are inside the virtual environment. Now the reason why you use the virtual environment is because you do not want to overwrite the default Python that is having the operating system. That's why in most cases, those who are using Windows, for Windows it's okay, but for Linux, Python comes with a default, Linux, Ubuntu comes with a default Python, and that's the latest 3.12.3. But I think the latest is 3.12.4. Now, so you don't want to override it, you just want to work on the virtual environment. So that's why it is important to create a virtual environment. Now, write another step. After activating the virtual environment, you need to install Django. After creating the virtual environment, activating the virtual environment, you need to install Django. To install Django in this directory, it's not difficult. You just write pip install Django. The D is silent, so you just call it Django. Don't say the Django, it's called Django. The D is silent, then press enter. So for Windows, it will collect all the Django, and then it will show you successfully install ASGI-Ref 3.0. That is the Django version, is what? 5.0.6. Okay. So that one you're now done with installing Django. That means you already have Django in that virtual environment. Are we together up to that point? Are we together up to that point?
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, my next issue is now after creating after installing Django, you need to create a project. And now I always get a problem here. There's a difference between a project in Django, because if you're going to create a project and at the same time you will also be forced to create an app. There's a difference between a project, there's a difference between an app. So for now, what you have is your project directory. So it's what I'm going to request you to start it. Is that okay? So you're going to start that project directory, which you already in it, by saying Django. You're going to say Django admin start project. And the project is, I don't know how you have called your project, but mine have called it that way. All right. So now you're going to see inside that directory, you have a project called Rico AI. That is a project. It's a project that you have created. So you could also cd in that project directory. Now you need to cd in that project directory. So if you look here, inside that folder, there's another folder called Rico AI. And in most cases, it's very confusing for students. They will not know which one they are working on. So what I'm going to do to make sure that you do not confuse yourself too much, I'll just rename this. Okay, I hope you won't get confused. The only problem, you will just have to move inside that folder again. So when you first list the directory. When you list the directory, you're going to see there's another folder called Rico AI, and that is the project folder. So now what I'm going to do here, since I've changed my directory into the project folder, I need to create Django app. Now here you say Python. No, I'm not yet. You need to first change the directory and then go inside. As long as that folder is there, you can write you can type the first two letters and press tab, then press enter. Then when you ls in it, you will see you have manage.py. Are we together? So when you have manage.py, that is when you can now create a Django application using the manage.py. So you just go one more step and say Python manage dot py start app. And this time round, I want the app to have a different name. Now, Now I'm going to call that app. Please wait for me. Don't move faster because there's something that I don't know. Anyway, so it's going to be Rico app because I'm creating the app. Rico app. So I'm using the app to separate the two. Then I'm going to press a space bar. Then I'm going to put the dot. Now, you're going to ask me, why is it that I have decided to put a dot at the end? When you don't put a dot at the end, it will create another folder called Rico app inside the Rico app. It is going to create this instance to create another folder of the same file name inside that folder. But if you put a dot, it will create that app inside this folder. That's why I've decided to put a dot at the end. Then you press enter. Okay. Now, so you can see I already have issues here. And the issue is that the directory, because now, in order to, that's what I was trying to say. Now, I don't know if I can change the directory from here directly. Okay. Now, what I can do to solve that problem, I can call this Rico project, rename it. Then I can go back here and go back to that folder and open that. Okay. So at least now this is different from this. Now I can go ahead now. Now I can cd inside and ls.
Excuse
So
me,
I'm
sir.
now inside there. At least, yes.
I think we need to activate the virtual environment
Yes.
before changing the directory. Hello?
We need to activate
The virtual environment.
yes. Yes, I get you. So we need to be in that folder. That's very true. Because the virtual environment is not activated, you can see from here. So we just need to do a source. Virtual environment in activate. Now that's better, right? So now we can change the directory into the application name. We can cd into and then ls. So we have the manage.py. So now we can create the app. So which is the same, you can say Django. Admin start project Rico app, then you press enter. Okay. It's saying that okay, so it's saying Django is not found.
I think here what we need to do is to create the app, not it should be start up, not start project. And then we should be using Python and then the other one, manage.py.
Okay. So I just typed the wrong thing. So it's supposed to be start up. Yeah, that should be correct.
No. We should be using Python, then manage.py, and then start up real code.
No, yeah, I get you now. I get it, actually. It's supposed to be Python manage dot py start up. Then the app name is supposed to be Rico app. Let's just put Python 3 here. Did you forget to activate? Actually activated the virtual environment. So this is the right way of doing it. Activated the virtual environment. This is completely ridiculous. Yes, I got what. Okay, guys, I'm going to fix that error. Now, the problem which I was trying to explain is that when you create a project, I made this mistake. When you create a project is when you are supposed to use that. That's the same error I was trying to avoid. So we can fix that from here. Let's go to that project. Now, you see this project, when you open inside, you still find another project with the same file. So to avoid that, is that we have to bring all this file here. It cannot move itself, okay, because you just need to rename maybe this one. Then I need to delete this one. That's the same thing I was trying to avoid. The reason why I wanted to use the dot. Okay. So we could now our virtual environment is activated. So that's the same problem I was trying to avoid all along. Is that if you don't put the dot when creating the project, it will create a folder inside the folder. So, and it has actually happened. So now we can try to avoid that by first creating the app. Let's first make sure that the app is created. Because when you list here, you're able to see the file manage.py. So when you do Python manage.py start app Rico app. Maybe Python 3. Okay, to activate. Okay. We'll try to activate the virtual environment and see. Source virtual env in image. It should be okay. All right, cool. So now, if we check, okay. I don't think they has created the project because they have not created the project. Okay. We could try to restart this again. I need to be sure it has created the project. Easily. Is there anyone who has succeeded without having any error? You should have a project file here called you should have a project file called no, an app file. Okay. Just a second.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I think it is when we create the project directory, the Ryoko AI.
Mm.
I don't know if you added that dot there because I used that one and then now I created it up. I was able to create the app.
I think I might because
So we restart again. We delete the project, the Ryoko AI, and then the manage the PY. And we start it fresh.
okay. Just have to delete this because that's how I that's the same thing I've been telling you to avoid. Is the same. So we are already in the virtual environment. So we're going to first start by creating what?
the
the
project.
project. But now let's start by creating the project. So it's going to be Django admin start project, and it's supposed to be Rico AI with a dot. Okay,
Yes.
for the project you have to use a dot. It's saying Django is not installed, so no. Okay, pip install Django. Okay. So allow me not. I'm going to move up. I'm going to move to desktop and create another folder. Let me start afresh. Let me just close this. I think I should be able to have another folder. You can actually delete the entire folder. Let me just create another folder and start the steps again. So let's clear up this. And this time around, let me just call it BS project. It doesn't matter. CD. So I'm going to create it on the desktop. So I'm going to make a directory. I'm going to make a directory and call it BSE project. Then I'm going to CD into BSE project list. So I don't have anything in the BSE. So I can also change it for my workspace here. Then I can select that. Okay. Now this is where it gets interesting. After doing that, you need to create a virtual environment. And to create a virtual environment, all you need to do is to say virtual virtual.venv. No, I didn't write, it's supposed to be virtual environment. Virtual env. So I've created the virtual environment. So the next step is to activate the virtual environment. Then activate. Now we are inside the virtual environment. So the next step is to install Django. Pip install Django. Everything seems to work right. All right. So now we are now going to create the project. So we are going to do Django admin start project. And then that project is going to be okay, it's going to be repo AI dot. Okay. Now here it has created and it has not created inside another folder directly. Okay. Perfect. Now we can cd into the reco and ls. Okay. So that's okay. After changing the directory, then we now need to create the application. For the app, all you need to do is to do Python manage dot py manage dot py start app. So the application is going to be simple. Let's change the directory here. That file is not there. All right. So finally it has worked. Now I can see I have the Rico, which is the project, and then the Rico app, which is the application. So at least I have the views, I have the modules. Now here, I have also the project here. Now, all right. So there are a few things to do. Just to be sure, I'm going to double check with students. Can I ask you if you've been able to create the application before we go to the next configuration? Hello? 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 Hello, students?
No, yes, sir.
Do you have the project and the application?
Yes,
Have you done it successfully?
yes.
No, it may be you. I want to get it from everyone. Because we are now moving to the next bit of it, which should now be difficult. Hello, students. Do you have any challenge?
We
Hello?
have my project is running well.
It's okay.
Yes.
All right. Now let's move to the next bit of it. Now that all of you are having the application and then the project, please don't forget about the steps. I think you need to write the steps because each and every time you are going to build a web application, you need to use the same steps. So you need to keep it somewhere separate. So otherwise you would be into the same situation that I was in. All right, now we need to do what we call configuration. Now to do a configuration of our project, we need to add the app that we have put so that it should also be into our setting.py. We need to add the app that we have this app. So we need to add the app to the installed app in our directory. So we need to go here, and then we need to go to our setting.py. Okay. Now, inside the setting.py, we need to scroll and see installed apps. So in the installed apps, we need to add the app we have installed. Which app did we install? We installed the app called Recall app. So, and press Ctrl S. Are we together? Are we following? Students, are we following? If you're okay, perfect. Now, after doing that, we need now to go to our application, because the first step is to add the app. The second step is to go and create modules. So we need to go to our app. Now we need to go to the app, and then we need to go to modules. This part, we need to create a module. Now, what I want to let you know is that I'm just going to create an app that reads, okay, just to be able to display onto to display it on the browser. That basically it's not going to be all that very complicated. It will be a simple app. Now you're going to create your modules here. So the first thing that you need to do, my module is basically trying to read soil moisture. Is that okay? So my module is basically trying to read soil moisture. So I'm going to be focusing so much on, okay, before even I get there, I just need to, no, maybe let me explain all these things, then I show it to you. Okay, I'm going to create an application that kind of reads the soil moisture. So I'm just going to try to make that app that is able to read soil's moisture. That will take in the timestamp, and then it will also take in the what? The variables are the time, and then it will also look at the moisture level. So that's the only thing that I want it to be returned in my application. So let me create the modules. But before you create the module, all you need to do is to first, because I'm going to use a time zone, so I need to import from Django for utilities import a time zone. Yeah, that's the only thing I need, because I need to be looking at the time at which the soil moisture level is being recorded. So let me create my module here. So the module I want is not a complicated module. I'm just going to create class. Then, of course, module into module, but my module is not going to be called. I want to call it what? You could call it user or what, but I just want to change this module to be soil moisture. You please first follow along with the way I'm doing it, then you would try to modify later after understanding. So now let me create some variables here. I need a variable for time. So something time. I need the timestamp. So this one will take the time. So please, that's okay. Just use the tab 9. It saves you some bunch of time to write the module. Then I'm going to create another variable for soil moisture. You could also call it soil moisture percentage. Okay. So don't worry about this. Then now what I can do, okay, yeah, soil moisture reading. This should be good enough. But just I told you, like, we have these platforms all over, the one we use. But sometimes if you find you have a challenge with some of this automated thing, you can rewrite. Like the way me, I may be interested in rewriting mine. Okay, let's use that. We shall see the output now. I could probably take in the timestamp. No, let me change this line of code briefly because it's not going to give me what I want. So what I want, for now, I want it to initialize the times the self. I want it to initialize the self stamp, the timestamp dot time stamp, which should be minus would write the logic the way you want. Then soil moisture level. Would do moisture. Yeah, soil moisture percentage. Okay. Okay, that's what I need. Okay. So now that we have this simple module that we have created, it's not a complicated module. You can have all kind of modules that you need. If you don't like to write long script, you could even change this and then call it what? Instead of using that automated thing, you can just make meaningful names and call it soil moisture level. You don't want to have those kind of long kind of a code, so you could have that. Now let's do one more thing. Let's create a migration. Okay. Let's create a migration. I'm going to explain to you all these things. So let's create a migration. So to create a migration, let's just double check here. Just need to ls and you're able to see that you have the manage.py. Now, if you have the manage.py, then you can do a migration. Then you can say Python manage.py make migration. Okay. he has done the migration. And then now you can migrate. You can say Python manage.py migrate. All right, so my migrations are done successfully. Now we need to register the module. Once we register the module, then we're going to create the views and templates. Now, so I believe you have done the migration. Now the next thing, let's do the registration of our modules. Remember, we have a module that we call soil moisture reading. So let's go to our application. We are inside the application. Now we need to go to the admin. Okay? Admin, and then we need to register the module. So this is where you register your module from. Now, since we are going to make a registration of the module, you need first to import. From modules, imports soil moisture reading. That's perfect. Then you can now create your migration, your registration here and say admin dot site register soil moisture reading. After you're done, you should press Ctrl S, write the code. No, save it. Then, once you're done registering the module, we need to go to the views in our application. Then you go to views. Now, in the views, create your views here. Now, some of you are going to, hey, why do we have to create views? Don't worry. Let's do everything. I'll explain to you at once. Now, let's create the views here. So, first, it's important to import the modules from, not from Django, from dot modules import soil moisture reading. Now, because we need to have a template that will be able to, we will be using it for sending our request. So let's create the views here. To create a view, we need to define a function. So let's define a function here. So we can have there's someone who is always against this. Okay, for now, let me ignore it. Let me just try to write what I know. But this would be fun to see exactly what it's trying to show. Let me just press it. Doesn't matter. The problem is now you're trying to write the code. Okay. So basically it's taking the soil moisture reading from the soil moisture module. Okay. Guys, I'm going to put these views for you in the, since you're following me, let me put it for you in the chat to save time a bit. Yeah. tab 9 should be able to suggest for you that. Don't mind about it. We will get there. Now, the next important thing that we need to do after creating the views, whatever comes, don't mind. This is just a simple app. You don't need to cram. Now let's try to create the URL pattern. Now for creating the URL pattern, you just need to go inside the application. Now, when you're inside the app, you realize that inside this app, you do not have the URL pattern, but inside the project you have the URL. Okay, but you wait, we will come back here later. So all you need to do, you need to create another. You need to create a Python file for URL and call it urls.py. Now, after creating that, you could see in that app you have url.py. Now, you could now try to get the URL for the soil moisture. So you could now use from Django .urls import path. Then from .views import moisture. What are we importing? Now that's where we need to come back to our views here. Soil moisture reading. We need to import this module, soil moisture reading. It's the one we created in the views. Okay. Then,
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
yes.
But what if we have like 10, 20, 50 views? Won't it cause commotion when you're trying to import each view one by one, each view function? Can't you like import all views at the same time?
Actually, you could. Yeah, you could import all the views. It will cause that. But for this particular demonstration, we don't have very many views. But you could also import all of them.
All right.
Yeah. So let's try to, can this give us the URL, the path? Okay, just use this because I've been using tab 9. Don't worry, I'm going to come back and explain this code line by line. All you need to do is to try to create this soil moisture reading. Now let's go to the URL pattern. Okay, in the project. Don't worry, we can repeat this one more time. Don't worry, we'll still get it. You could do it like twice, that should be enough. We come to the URL pattern here. Now, here, basically what you need to do, you have the path, but I actually realized that it's better to have the include in our directory here. So since we have, please make sure you are inside recall, and then you are inside the URLs. Then just add the include. Because if you don't have the include, they are going to also get into that. There's some error that I experienced. Now let's do the path. Okay. Since I've been using tab 9, this should all work for me. So it has taken the path for soil moisture. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a template. And for us to create a template, I'm going to show you something. We need to create a template inside the application. So let's first, we need to create a template inside the app here. We need to create a template here. So we need to first ls so that we are able to see. So we need to go inside the directory. You could see it has even created, the migration has created a database here, which is using the SQL database. Now let's try to, let's create a template. Now, this way I need to emphasize a little bit. Many of you, when I give you a project, you're likely going to use template. Let me make this clear. There's a difference between a Makerere University student and a student from another university. If you're going to present your work to me, I know there's a lot of AI assistance in your final project. Please try to build your project from scratch so that you learn everything. If you're just going to get a template and then do the modification, because now you know that once you have a template, you can modify it. Because if I tell you to create a website using Django for a tourism thing, or create an app for selling cakes using Django, you could go and find those, go to GitHub, clone those beautiful, well-designed applications, then just edit it. You're going to get problems if you are presenting to my group. If you're presenting your group to me, I don't give a lot of marks there. First, walk through these steps so that you understand it very well. In future, you could what? You could now learn how to import and work with those templates. But for now, you follow this. Don't worry about this first step. We are going to do this, then we will again repeat it the second time until you are able to set up a Django project. It should be easier, but this is actually easier because I'm trying to save time also. Now we need to create a template. So first, I need to make a directory inside it. But I said it earlier on that for us to create a template, we need to make a directory inside the application. So for us to make a template inside that directory, we are going to use inside our project. We're going to use make directory. Let me just first clear out this. make directory minus P, and then the directory is supposed to be inside the repo app. Don't worry, even if you just created it somewhere, you can still go back and bring it. But make sure that the template is inside the Rico app, and then we are just first making the directory templates. Then inside the Rico. Yeah, he has made that directory. Now we need to touch it with the we need to touch it with an HTML file that will be displayed in our browser. So we can use the touch, then Rico app templates Rico app. So we are touching it with an HTML file, which I know most of you can do this HTML. The UI designers, moisture. So the temperature can just be like moisture list HTML. HTML. Okay. So yeah, then you press enter. Now, if you cd in this directory, should be able to see that file. If you cd into this directory and then list it, you should be able to see the moisture.html file. So this is the file that it will be requested when you try to render. So you could now go ahead and try to edit that HTML. Since you already know it, here you come inside the template. Okay. So now this is where you write anything that you need it to be displayed on the browser. You could have a simple one like most of you, there's a shortcut of getting an HTML file. Okay. Then you press doc type, and then still this.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I think you just put the other exclamation mark and then it will bring like the basic HTML template.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That should work. But now for this case, since now I didn't use that, don't worry. And write a simple HTML. It doesn't matter, whatever comes. Let's just have the heading. And I'm not going to explain anything here because I believe you guys know HTML. Just going to make sure I have the title. Why am I suffering? First of all, I'm very well suffering. Okay. I don't like suffering in the first place when you can save a bunch of time. That's why, by the way, that's the reason why I use tab 9. I start typing the code and then I say, why am I even doing this thing when? So maybe we can change the title here and call it soil moisture monitoring. Now, okay, we could have it display something small in the body. So in the body, you could have it display whatever comes, that's okay. Ah, what is it? This now. Anything which shows error, you don't need it now. Okay. I hope this simple HTML should be able to show us something. But let me see. We'll modify, don't worry, we'll modify whatever comes. So let's try to see if we can add some sample data. Okay, so let's add some sample data and see. By saying Python manage dot py create super user. We just try to add some sample data to access the admin interface, but I don't think even the admin interface is there. But let's just try to add it. If we don't, we might have some bit of error. Super user. So, you do mean cannot import, so yes,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. Our model is almost already, not model at the end.
Is not model at the end.
Yeah.
Oh. afternoon. Up views. Okay. Let's try to run server and see if to be able to Python manage py run. In the URL, it's like we imported modules instead.
What's for that?
We have two URLs. Which one did we import? Yes. Okay. True. Okay.
Let's
So
modify
that's
the
why
import. We
Hmm?
modify the import statement also. Line 2.
That's why sometimes I don't like that means you need to avoid the tab 9 a lot if you're going to screen displays. No, that's I can try, I can even set all this entire thing. Okay. Soil moisture. So let me just double check in my application here under the URLs. This is okay.
Sir,
Yes.
can we see first see the available views for importation in the views? This second file url.py. So here I can see we have the views we defined. It's not what we are importing because we defined soil moisture underscore view, then soil moisture underscore details under view. But in the URL, we're importing something different. That
Okay.
file. No, the other one, we have two URL up.
And that's the problem of using what?
Yeah, here
So
we are
which one
importing
are
soil moisture reading. On the second line,
Yes.
the files were supposed to import those classes and then supposed to be in the views. And we're importing soil moisture reading, which is not defined in the soil moisture in the view file.
Basically, here in the, we're supposed to, okay, let's just try to, so this is okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yes,
I think from that line 2, what we should be importing are the functions we define in the views. Because under the views, we don't have that soil moisture reading under the views. This is a model, it's not a view.
so we need to import.
The functions that are there, soil moisture view, and then the other one.
Let me try to fix this and see. Import. I think it's going to mess up this. Let me just try to reorganize this. Okay, let me reorganize this. Should be able to work because I'm creating something which I've been using from. Let's just import views and then import moisture.
Soil moisture view.
The previous soil moisture view. So let me create the super user and see. Anyway, if
Still going to cause errors.
if it brings error, then we can restart the process and rewrite our own code. That shouldn't be. Okay, let me try to import and see. By super user. The function. We define the function. Okay. I think even when let me just try one last thing. If it doesn't, then we are going to rewrite this code. It's not a big thing.
Excuse me, we need to remove the as view next to the function.
Then it will import the super user.
Even the parentheses, we need to remove them. And the dot.
Simisa,
Yes.
yeah, how about we say at on that path that you have just highlighted, you come and say view dot soil moisture view at the beginning there.
Yeah.
Here, like where you're putting the views, view dot soil moisture view.
View. No, there's soil. What?
There, like no at before it not after it.
But have you tried and it's working? Because if it's
View
not
dot
working and
view
it
dot
works,
yeah view dot soil
view dot.
view dot, then just put view dot soil moisture view.
That's a repetition again.
That's it. Then from the import, you can remove the import of the views. And type from, that. But then you can do the same with the lower view.
But still,
Views.
Views,
Not
actually,
view.
it is views. Yes, views.
Yes.
Like that.
let's still import. If it doesn't, then we could rewrite our own code. Okay. I think now this one, no modules. When we go to modules, we don't have a module called soil moisture. Don't have a module. Maybe this should have been module. No, okay. Let's just rewrite this code. It's not difficult than allowing it to mess up because we are trying to what? We are trying to use tab 9. Let's start it again. It doesn't take a lot of time. We won't write too much. We'll just edit and fix a few things. So the first step was to create a module in the app. So when you come to the app, we can create a module here. And our module we created was soil moisture reading, okay, which takes in the timestamp and the soil moisture level. Okay, we have no problem here. Then we applied the migration, which has no problem. And then in the admin, we registered our module as soil moisture. Okay. Then our views, we created views within the app. So this is where we use. Okay. Yeah, actually. So here we just use. This is where we are getting the problem from. The tab 9 just gave us what soil moisture view. Okay, getting all our ratings. Okay. Okay, let's modify here a bit. Don't worry, we are going to repeat this one more time, then we call it off. So, then the return. I just call this reading. Okay, so it's the reading, that's okay. get our request, soil moisture, because what we put here is index.html. So that's where we're getting the problems from. Okay, so we do our reading, our readings. We don't need this. We don't have anything like. Okay, so we're done with our views. Let's go to our URI pattern for the app. So from use import moisture, soil moisture. Then the URL. This is where we're getting. I just accepted to flow with this, but now I really don't need this. I think I would recommend you write your own code. So step 9, this AI is not actually very effective. Let's written it in the wrong way. We're trying to import the views from the moisture. Is that how we have written it?
Yes, it should be soil moisture.
Okay.
And then there we put soil moisture.
It's okay. Then here we also place soil moisture. Soil moisture. Then right. So let's go to the still in the URLs of the Rico AI, which is this URL. Basically, in the URL pattern, actually we don't need even all this. So moisture level. These are really good. Okay, it's one of the application I'm working on. I think it's just importing everything from the other side. Oh, let me just try to only remove this and remain with. Yeah, this should work. Record how include record how URLs. Yeah, this should be good enough so that we don't now creating templates. We did that. We have our moisture list. Then with our template, let's just edit the template list a bit. Okay. Let's just edit this a bit, don't worry. trying to avoid any nothing so much important here. Yes. Now first going to ignore those. Put another list. Mhm. Mhm. About this. Mhm. Okay. So let's try now to add the super data and see. Should not have any error this time. Python manage.py super. Okay, perfect. Now I can leave that. I can leave Jeff to be blank. Then I just put my email. Password. All right. So now I can try to run the development server, which I can say Python manage.py. All right. Now I'm just going to copy this, then go to Chromium and paste this. We have some error here. cannot define that recall. Right. The empty path didn't match any of this. Okay. That's something I can fix. It's not a big thing. Okay. Please, can you follow me? Can you follow the steps again so that we can have this fixed by reloading? I have a feeling I skipped something. Let me go to the app. What is it saying? The URL defined in the phase 2. Try the URL in that order. They need match. Okay, let's make it match now. Okay. The URLs. That is the only problem that we have now. The one which did match. Okay. The template doesn't.
Excuse me, sir.
Template doesn't. Yes.
Can we go to the URL of the Reiko app?
This one? No, for the
No,
app.
the other one. Yes, for the app.
Yeah.
I think this one is okay, but no, why is it bringing the error?
I think the template name is moisturelist.html.
The HTML is moisturelist. It's not soil moisture.
I think we should be fixing that under views.
It's moisturelist.
Yeah, yeah.
Moisturelist. Still doesn't.
It seems I think I know what the issue could be.
Mm.
Yeah, in our settings, you're supposed to register the templates folder.
We're supposed to register the what?
The templates folder. You can scroll down a bit. Where I say templates, yes, directories. Just above. Yeah, in that dictionary of directories, DIRS, we're supposed to register our templates from there by typing the templates URLs. You type base directory in uppercase, base, yeah, base dir. then a forward slash is it?
Oh.
And yeah, you add the templates. And then close the comma with the, yeah, that should be it.
Let's get it out. No. Shouldn't be there. Shouldn't be it. Now this I have a feeling there's something missed out. Feeling there's something that we missed out. In the app URL, we corrected that. I have a feeling this is coming because of this. Yeah, the feeling is great. Let's do this.
So
Yes.
in our views, did we specify the template?
No.
Right over here, you're supposed to put a slash for such record up, since I noticed we're in the templates folder, then another folder called record up folder. Could that be
So
it?
in the when we are creating the views,
Yeah, and when you're cutting the views, we're supposed to
when you
show.
define the function, this function was supposed to be also moisture list.
When
And
you're
then,
returning the what? When you're returning the HTML file,
mm,
yes,
think
the
here,
directory is supposed to be record up
yeah,
slash
true.
moisture list.
Yeah, that's very true. Equal up list. The rest are okay. I think the
Hope so.
rest are okay. Okay, it's now running. Let's reload and see. Oh, okay. So now the only problem is
In the template itself.
is in the template itself. So now we can go to the template. What's the problem with the template now?
There should be a for loop there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the actual for reading. Mhm.
Is that how we named them we named it in the views readings?
Yes, yes. Complex is still showing error. What the hell is this? Oh, for reading in readings. Okay, the problem will be fixed. Let's just take the reading. Why? I don't think it will show up here. Oh, perfect. I guess we have to repeat and explain these processes. Okay, with all that hassle, I believe we can now try to, just on your request, if you accept, we can now try to do it one more time as we explain everything. Hello? Hello, students. Sure.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, what I'm now requesting, can we repeat the entire process as I explain the code, then we call it off? Because I wanted to be sure that it works first. All right. All right. So, Victor,
Yes, sir.
okay, first I wanted to be sure it works. Remember me, I don't like practicing things earlier before. I just want to code along as I go with the debugging. But now we can now use this to explain the entire Django. Because today is the end of Django. On Wednesday, we are going to do Flask. So allow me, just give me like 10 minutes. We're going to repeat the entire process. And we will start from the beginning. Set up and then until you are able to come up with this. But to avoid that, we need to close this server. Now that we have closed this server, okay. Okay. So you will tell me what to do, but we are going to repeat the same process, okay? Okay. All right. So the first thing that we need to do when setting up Django, please listen, because I'm doing it last and the rest and the final time. Then for you, it's going to be your task to practice and finish up with the views with your templates. But for now, I wanted to first be sure it works, then we can now explain this. Now, first, please listen finally. I'm only explaining it once. That is it. The rest you will be able to do it on your own. Now let's make sure that we start setting up our project, which is easier. We're not going to use the same project name, no. We have to use another project name. So I'm first going to CD into desktop. And then, since I'm already on the desktop, because I like working from the desktop, then I can make a directory. Now this time around, make directory. Now, what should we call this directory? It shouldn't be the same. You tell me. What directory can we call? Just a folder on the desktop. That's
Can we
simple.
just use BSA?
Okay, let's call it a folder BSC. That's enough.
Yes.
Let's call it BSC project.
I think the other one has the same name, BSA project. That's what you use.
So let's call it BSC. Okay, so we have made it. Now, when we list ls, we can see there's BSC here. Is that okay? Now we can cd into BSE. Then we can ls in BSE. You realize now we don't have anything in BSE. Also, because we are going to be navigating into that folder, let's just open that directory here. Okay, so at this point, we have all understood. It's just creating a folder and then getting into the directory. Then the next thing was to do what? Create a virtual environment. We're going to repeat this process up to the end. Once we're done, that is it. We are going to create a virtual. We're going to create a virtual environment, and then VENV. Let's enter. Now we have created the virtual environment. Now the next step is to do what? Is to install. No, it's first to activate. Yeah. Please just write the steps down, please. Activate the virtual environment. Then activate. Now it has activated. Now once you see it has the VN, means it has activated the virtual environment. Okay. The next step, what's the next step? Because you have been following, is to do what? Install pip. Install what? Django. Yeah. So you just do pip install Django. So that's the process that we'll always use when repeating the process of creating a Django project. Now, this is where things get interesting a bit. Not so? We are going to create a project. And that project is going to be what? It's going to be the Rico AI. Is that okay? Or this time around, we are going to call it Rico project because it's inside our project. It has no problem. Okay, let's call it Rico AI so that we don't confuse. So you're going to say, how do you create that project? Don't forget the dot. You're going to use Django admin start project, and then you're going to call it Rico AI dot. Can someone explain why I'm using the dot? Can someone explain why I'm using the dot? Hello?
I think
Excuse me.
Yes. Okay, let's give a chance to a lady. Yes, Eferata.
We are using that dot so that we avoid repeated creation of folders,
Okay, thank you.
like a folder within a folder.
Exactly. So that's why we use the dot. So you press the dot. Now, if you double check here, you realize it has created a folder in that directory directly. Thank you. If you don't use it, you will create a folder and you get that problem, which I was facing at first. Now, since we already created, we have created the project. Now, when we ls our directory, you can see we have the manage.py, the manage.py. Now, we can now go, what's the next step after that? You guys have been following. What's the next step after that?
Now we should be able to create the app.
Okay, perfect. Now, to create the app, you just use Python. Let me first clear up this. You use Python manage.py and start app. The app name is going to be what?
Rieko app.
Now, once you have the project and the application, within the project, you already have, it imports for you all this. We will explain setting why you need it later. Not later, but we will explain it as we are using it. You have if you're able to reach up to this point, then you have at least followed. Now, what is the next thing that we need to do?
Excuse
We
me,
need
sir.
to, yes.
I think the app is the one that we create at first. Like in case we don't put the period at the end when you're creating the project. It creates two folders. The first folder will be for the project, and then the second is for the app. So when we put the full stop.
The only problem is
Mm.
when you don't put the full stop, the folders will look the same. And I don't want to go into running into an error, but I think this is okay. Whatever way it will create the app. But I prefer using this so that you can differentiate, because your app is going to have the same name as the project. Not so?
Yes.
When you don't put the dot.
Yes.
And now you can be messed up to understand.
No. What I was thinking,
which one is a project folder.
the app folder.
Okay, go ahead.
It's like
Go ahead and
right
explain.
here, we are creating another app called Draco app. But by default, the other one, remember when we put the full stop, we remove the other project folder. So what remains is the app. I don't think we need to create another app. It's already the app that remains. That's why they have the same things inside.
No, yes.
They're not the same.
They're not the same.
Going to it the wrong way.
Mm.
They're not the same. Look
Okay.
at my screen.
Yes,
Is the project having the views?
the project. No.
Is it having the test.py? Is it having the modules?
No. So the project is okay.
So there's a difference. Now you share your screen and show us what you're doing without using the dot, so that we understand very well. I don't, because I normally run into I told you, me, I don't like using templates when I'm building a software for a client. I normally like building from scratch, like the way we are doing it, so that I understand each and every error. And with programming, when someone is trying to teach you how to fix the error, you will never fix it. So it's better you keep trying it yourself, you fix it and understand the error. So Elsa, please share your screen and show us.
So I had not yet created the app because I was still figuring out. I thought it's the same thing because by default, before I created, I removed the folder because I first created it without the full stop, and it created two folders. I thought the two folders is one is the project and then the inside one is the app. But if it's like that, then I think it was a mistake because this one, I thought this is the app.
No, it's not. There are two things everyone should understand when you are building, when you're setting up a Django project. You need to first set up, you need to create, when you create the Django project using the start project, you're going to create a project. And that project is going to contain the settings, the URL, and the WSGI gateway interfaces. That one we'll get back to it later. So just to make sure that we are on the same page, are you guys comfortable using my approach, especially for creating the project and creating the app? You know?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to force you to get to stick to my ways of doing it, but I believe this is, I don't want to dispute people's knowledge of the one they get on internet, but I'm trying to make sure that you do not run into the same mistake I ran in when I was trying to set up the project and it was not working. Now, the next step after this, I'm going to ask you, what are we supposed to do? Okay, let me explain to you. Once you have created the project and you have created the app, you need to add the app to the install apps. Okay? You need to add the app you created, this app here. You need to add it there. How do you add it? You go to settings. And then under settings, you scroll until you reach the part where it's saying install apps. In Django, if you want, even in Laravel, how many of you are Laravel developers? How many of you have tried to work on a project using Laravel? Laravel is a framework. I think it's kind of the same when putting what? When creating, I don't know how to, but because I've taken long without working on any Laravel application. Now here, what you need to do, you just need to create a custom application and add it into the on install app. You just say Rico app, that is it. You press Ctrl S. Have you understood up to there? No. Have you understood? Say yes to motivate me to move on.
Yes.
Okay. Immediately you create that immediately what you do, you add the app to the install app. You add it, where do you add it from? You add it from the settings.py. Are we together? Now, what is the next thing that you need to do? Now, the next thing that you need to do after adding the app, you need to go to the application folder and then look for modules.py, modules.py. Now, you need to create a module. Is that okay? Now, the module that you need to create basically depends on the kind of applications that you are building. Now, I'm going to explain to you this one by one because I first needed to write up my idea and then come up with. Now, here what I need you to do, before you do anything, it is important to import the Django modules to define the module. So how are we going to define that module? First, when you look at my intention here, I'm going to import the time zone. Now let me say from Django dot util. Okay, import time zone. Now, why am I importing the time zone? Because I want to set the default value for the timestamp. I want to set the default value for the timestamp so that it gets the time now, like when I'm trying to get the soil moisture level based on the time, like it records it at this particular time. That's why I am using the import utility for the time zone so that I get the default time zone. Now, but the main reason here, after creating that, this will take care of the time zone. But we have not yet created the module. For us to create a module, we need to use a class and say class, and then after class, we are going to say you can define a module and say, let's define a module called soil moisture reading. So you're going to say soil, okay. Soil, I'm not going to use tab 9 anyhow because it has messed me up. It made me go into the process of debugging, which is also good for us to learn debugging. So soil moisture reading. Now inside the soil moisture reading, what I'm going to do, since I've defined that module soil moisture reading, I am going to make sure that it takes in the arguments for the modules dot module, like that. So it's a module because we are importing this module. And now since we are importing this module, this will basically help define the module. Okay? It will help define the module. That's why we are passing it into what? Into our module. Now, the next thing that we need to do is basically simple. We need to create, we need to store the timestamp of our reading with the default value of our current time. That's why I'm using timestamp. I'm creating a variable called timestamp, module, date, time field, default. The reason why I'm using this is to store the timestamp of the reading with the default value of the current time that we have. If it is 11:38, that's the reason why we want it to store the timestamp of the reading. If you have taken the soil moisture reading now and the time is 11:38, so that was the reason why we are using that timestamp. All right. Now, we are going to write another one line of code, which I will explain to you. Now, we're going to create a variable called soil moisture level. And remember that now this soil moisture, this moisture level is basically to store the soil moisture level as a floating point numbers. That's why we have decided to use the module dot float so that it stores it as a floating point number. But we can still keep moving on with it. Now, after that, we are going to define a string representing the method of the module. So to define the string, we're going to define the string. So we do that def string. So this one basically, it's going to define the string representing the method of the module. But now we need to improve this because this was kind of suggested it is suggested by tab 9. So let it return it in this way. We will have it do we have it as a formatted string, and then it will take in so dot timestamp. Yes. So dot moisture level. Now, what this return is trying to do, it returns a string that includes the timestamp and the moisture level. That's why I've decided to first define the string representing the method for the module. Okay, which is this. Then it is returning the string that includes the timestamp and the soil moisture level. Now, so that's what I've done with the modules, basically. Now let's go to any question before we move to creating and applying migration. Any question? Because you guys want the work to be explained. So you need to do the work and then explain it. That's double work, but it's fine. Now let's go to the next part. The next part now, after this, you need to create a migration. Now, migration is easier. It's basically you're trying to migrate the information to the database. Now, how do you do that? How do you create migration? Now, you need to come to your terminal here and first make migration and then migrate. So you're going to do Python manage.py make migration. You press enter. Now, it has made a migration for this. Now, the next part is we need to migrate. So you're going to say Python manage.py migrate. Now it has done the migration. Now, the next step that you need to do after making a migration, you need to register the modules within the admin. So you need to come to the admin here and register the module. how do you register the module? First, you need to import the Django admin module, which is this one. Then two, you need to import the module which we created here. It's called what? Soil moisture reading. Now, how do you import that? You can come and say from dot modules import soil moisture reading. Now you can register the module by saying admin dot site register soil moisture reading and close. You press Ctrl S. Now you have done registering the module. Now, the reason why you register the module is basically so that the site with the admin to manage it via the Django interface. You want to manage this via the Django interface, which you can try to look at it a little bit later. But you're just trying to make sure that you can manage it via the Django interface. When you come to the interface of the browser, you're able to create a login. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to create views and templates. Now, how do you create views and templates? You need to go to your application, and then you need to go to what? The views. Now, when you come to the views, you need to create the views. Now, how do you create the views? First, you need to import the module. You need to import the module for soil moisture reading. So you're going to say from dot module import soil moisture reading. Now, I remember when we were doing like this, I was just pressing tab and it adds module at the end. That's why we were running into errors, because I was trying to be comfortable that maybe actually Copilot is just to, no, not Copilot. Tab 9 is basically to speed up your typing, but Tab 9 just suggests for you the code. And sometimes the code it suggests for you, it's not very good. So you need to be careful when using that. Now, our next part is to define our request. Now, we are going to define our request. Now, we are going to define a function. That function, we are going to call it moisture. So you can define a function, define, then say moisture underscore list. And now, the other time I was just pressing tab 9. That's why I was getting it wrong all the time. Because when I define a function for moisture list view, I need also to know how I define that function. You don't need to cram the function doesn't need to be exactly moisture list. But for this particular one, I'm going to call it what? Moisture list. Now, so this function will take in the request. Now, so when you do the request, it should render your request with the application. That's why the reason why they use the HTTP request is to avoid, it's also to avoid consuming a lot of space. Previously, like the way HTML are, it has to go and look for the entire HTML file and then return the entire HTML file. The entire HTML file has a lot of information there. So with HTTP request, you only request the information, that particular information that you need. That's why the website loads a little bit faster, or the application loads faster when you deploy it. Now, so you define the soil moisture request. Now, in the soil moisture request, you're going to create a variable reading to retrieve all soil moisture reading from the database, ordered by the timestamp in a descending order. So how do you do that? You can say reading or readings, and then you create the variable and say soil moisture reading dot object all dot objects all dot order by. Now the order by, I'm using timestamp so that it is in the descending order of the timestamp. Timestamp. Now, what I need now to do is to return isn't this the wrong spreading, was supposed to be, sorry, let me see reading like that. Return, then it should render the request. Okay. So what the return is trying to do is basically to render our HTML file. Return render our HTML file. Our HTML file is going to do a moisture underscore list.html, which is going to be in the RICO application. Now, so we are passing the reading context. We are passing this reading context basically so that we can read the templates. Now, we need to create a URL. Okay? We need to create a URL pattern in our application. You have to press Ctrl S. So to create a URL pattern in our application, we go to application. Now you realize that this URL is in the project, but we need to create the URL in the application here. So we are going to click on new file, and we are going to call it URLs. Okay, URLs.py. Now, when you create the urls.py, you should see it should be within your application directory. RICO app URLs. Now, why are we creating the URL? We are creating the URL so that we can define a URL pattern that maps to the root, to our directory. Okay, so we can do that by saying, first we need to import the path for the function to define the URL paths, the URL pattern. So you're going to say from Django dot URL import path. Then from dot views. From dot views import, we are going to import the moisture list view. So moisture list. Okay. Now, what is going to be the URL? So the URL is going to be URL pattern which is going to be in form of a list. And yeah, it will take in the path with the moisture list. Now, one thing that you need to know is that the reason why we are taking the path, we are just defining the pattern that maps from the URL. This pattern is the one that will map from the URL. That's why we are defining it. So you just need to press Ctrl S once you're done with that. Then the next part is to go ahead and include the app URL. You need just to include it. Now to include it, all you need to do, you need to go to, okay. So you need to go into the project and include it into the URL. So you have to come back to the project here and then look for the URL patterns. You just need to include it. So you also need to do path include. If you don't put include, you're going to get an error. So you just need to do include and then you add that URL pattern for the path. So it's going to be path. Now, let's just double check one thing. So you're including this, but for now, it is not, because of the nature of how we put our application, it's not directly into the application. So leave it blank, okay? So just make it blank and then just include the URL. Now, the function of defining that, the reason why we are using it is basically so that the app of the URL pattern is in the project. Now, the next thing that we need to do after this, we need to create a pattern. We need to create a template, I mean. Now, for us to create a template, we need to make a directory within. We need to make a directory. To make a directory, you just do mk directory of the application. App templates. Now, once you press enter, okay, the reason why it is not making is because I forgot I did not put something here. Make directory -p. Now that p helps to make that directory the way you have specified it. Make directory templates into that application and press enter. Now it has made the template directory. So when you check here, you realize you have a template directory, but there's nothing inside that template directory. So you need to create an HTML template in that directory. So you create that template in that directory by using you use what we call touch, then recall app template, and then template into the recall app, moist underscore list dot html. You could make a template in different way, but for now we could even call it index, but I've decided to first leave it to be one like list. So basically you're making the template. Now, once you're done, you press enter. To be sure that it has made the template, when you come back this time round and come to this directory, you should be able to see that template. Okay. How do we know we have the template there? Could CD into that directory. CD. Okay. So you can see inside that directory, we now have the way. Okay. We'll access that file. Now, we need to edit that file of the template. Here we can see that the template is there. And I want to open that template. Just going to try to. Okay. So I wasn't able to get to that template directly. That's why I had to reload this page, entire page, but should be able to. Should be able to see the. Yeah, I can now see it. So sometimes when you don't see it, you need to know how to reload your VS Code so that you're able to see that template. Now, in that template, we just need to edit it and modify it just so that when we try to render to get the response, it should be able to load what is in the template. So let's edit that template. You can just press Shift, press Enter. Now, you only need to do is in the head here, the title of the document, you could maybe just say soil moisture. Of course, this is where you're going to be building your interfaces from. Of course, now with your knowledge, you can be able to build a good interface. So soil moisture reading. Now, in the body tag, in the body here, is where you're interested. I'm not going to explain everything. I'm just going to explain this other line of code which I'm going to write. Now, I'm not going to explain this word, this first line of code. Now, this would be very good for you to check the database connection, but we're not going to go. This is too advanced. We need something very, very simple. Yeah, it would be nice to have it. I would be happy to have it like that. That's why I totally don't have any. I actually wanted to see what this would look like, but not now. You could try it on your own and then look at date, time, having some PHP. So that's why you need some bit of knowledge. But here, the knowledge of, when you look at this is a PHP. That's why as a programmer, you need, when you're putting on your CV, you need to know how to do all this. But for now, I'm not going to go into this because it will make this work this template too bulky. So I'm just going to make it simple. By now saying, I'm going to create an ordered list. Now, inside the ordered list, now, for reading in readings, yeah, that's the only thing I need. Now, what I'm going to, but always be careful. Now, the reason why we are using the for loop is basically to look through our readings. That one, you know, you've studied at least for loop. I did that with you. Now, so that it displays the variable of each reading. But of course, do we have the variable? No. Okay, basically that is it. Now, once you're done with this template, you're now going to go back here and create, add sample data. So to add sample data, you just need to say Python manage py actually you need to check if you were able to see that manage. So yes, we have the manage here. We need to create some super user data in this SQL, right? So we are going to say Python manage dot py create super user. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it blank so that I use Jeff. Then I'll put my email address. Then I'll put my password. So it has created it successfully. Now I can run the server so that I am able to log into the admin. But I'm going to just say Python manage .py on server. Yeah, if everything is okay, you could press Control and click there, it take you directly, but that's not my default browser. So I'm going to first close all this so that you're sure. Yeah, it's basically showing the title of this template. Now, okay, so in most cases, this is how you set up Django on your machine. Let me stop recording.